We are live, baby. Week 4. We've survived this long. Coach Trey, with the fresh cut, how are you doing, man?
Good, dude. I feel like I have full rotation of my the old cranium here. My hair
Mm.
got long, dude, and when it gets long, man, my hair is curly. Like I have Sicilian descended relatives, and so naturally my hair becomes like the Jackson Five when it gets long.
Oh,
So
oh. Always good to get a little fro going, but not in this Louisiana weather. Um, so I just wanted to go, I guess, for this episode. And to be fair, me and Trey have not talked about this episode, so we've offered to have a natural conversation, like I've suggested, literally right before we started this. I have a recap of all of our futures. Maybe we can just quickly browse through those and give a quick update on how those look. Uh, for our futures. Is this the thing where you can't hear me again? I pray to God you can hear me this time.
no, we're good.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. We had some audio issues last time. So I've got that and we can just, kind of talk about that and lead into some points there. And then, whatever you want to talk about from there, man. It's kind of just a free episode, week 4. Not a lot of big games, this week. It's only really a few, and I don't really consider them that big. So, I guess let's start with the recap of our futures. So both me and Trey, in our earlier episodes, we went over some totals that we liked for the longevity of the season, and Trey's already hit one. Trey's got the Vanderbilt over 2.5. That has smashed already. So congrats to Trey for hitting one of those. We both had Baylor winning the Big 12. They're 2-1.
In play.
Yeah, it's in play. It's not out of the ordinary. I think Oklahoma has looked pretty solid so far. If I had to look at it now, I would probably say Oklahoma wins the Big 12, but anything can happen. So once they all start playing each other, then maybe we'll get a better idea. Um, so we both had them. You had LSU over 6.5, which looks pretty good so far. The Florida State L kind of hurt. It probably would have been a guarantee if they won that game, but they just need to win their 50-50 games to get to 7. Now,
Right.
7.5, that's a different story. I didn't touch anything with LSU, but 6.5 was offered on Barstool and FanDuel towards the beginning process, like once they initially released them out. So those looking good so far. We both had over 7.5 wins for Tennessee, 3-0. Feeling really good about that. I think Georgia's really Tennessee's only competition outside of Kentucky. They play Florida this weekend, so if they get past them, I think we cruise to the 8 there. I don't know. Did you have A&M under?
Under.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did. So we both had A&M under 8.5.
You convinced me, but yes, we both like.
I mean, they've got an L. They lost a game they weren't supposed to, so that's trending in the right direction. I'm always for that. You have Oregon over 8.5, which is in good standing. They lost to Georgia. They've only got 2 tough games left, so they really just need to win their must wins and maybe split one of those 50-50 games. What else? I don't like. I have Bama SEC champ, and I don't like that. I really don't like it. I think they get there, but I don't think they beat Georgia from what I've seen so far. So Georgia, I think, is the best team in the country.
Not close.
Yeah, I don't think it's really close at all.
And we don't like to speak hyperbolically that way, but we have to call balls and strikes, right? Right now, it's not close.
Yeah, right now it's not close. Going into the season, I thought Ohio State was the best team. I have them to win the Big Ten. I still feel pretty good about that, but I don't think they're close to Georgia. I think Ohio State and Bama are probably in the same category. Is that a fair assessment? I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's not enough sample size to disagree or say that that's an outlandish take.
So you had under 3.5 for Georgia Tech. great standing. They've won their only game that they really have on the schedule, and Duke was one of those games, and Duke is actually surprisingly good this season. So I like that bet for you. So basically, to say this, the futures are all looking pretty solid so far. We threw in some Heisman stabs here and there, and with Will Anderson, he had a really good game last week, but not looking good so far. It looks like it's a 2-horse race between Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud. I don't think Bryce Young should be in contention right now. He looked horrible in their last game. So as far as the futures, they're not looking too bad. I expect we both go positive on those, which will help to our record. So I'm 22-27, and Trey's 9-14. We're a little bit below 500, which isn't crazy. It's not crazy. It's been a grind this season. It's been a tough season. A lot of crazy shit's happening. You're not like seeing the normal stuff happening. I mean, Texas A&M is losing to App State. I mean, you can consider that normal all you want, but I mean, there's just a lot of Kansas is 3-0. Kansas and Duke are both playing this weekend.
I have something to say about them.
Yeah, Kansas and Duke are both 3-0, and they're playing each other this weekend. So I mean, that just speaks to how crazy this season's been. So to be right around 500, a little bit below, it's okay. We're gonna make a good push here in the next couple of weeks. This is where we really need to get our calculations straight as far as our plays are concerned. So I know you don't have a lot on your card, and I know you wanted to save some of your plays. So is there anything you want to talk about as far as what you've seen so far this season? What do you like this week? Maybe just to take a stab at that you haven't really bet yet but are interested in?
Yeah, man. So a couple things. I have to get this in my notebook because I want to be able to have full transparency when we go back, and I don't like having just everything on my phone.
Yeah.
Full transparency, guys. And again, so Anthony and I did this one kind of like raw motion. We have not talked about this at all. And frankly, I'm just getting back in town for work. I do, hard to believe, but I do have a job outside of this. We have not talked about any of this. But to get to your question, short and sweet, I think that what we've seen is that there's a slight overreaction every single time that an away team wins their game or covers. Because you're seeing that the point spread from what I have a stat here that away teams that were not favored and cover have been given an extra point, but it says have been getting away teams that cover 0.8 extra on spreads. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but whenever you're in the market of deciding if 3.5 and 3 sounds good to you, that's a big difference. Like 0.8 is essentially a point. Like 3.5 and 4.5 is a million sometimes.
I can't tell you how many times I've lost on the number. So I mean, yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, but anyway, all of that to say, guys, and I kind of, Anthony, I think you and I talked about this part, but is it fair to say that we were pretty much on the money with Tennessee, but completely missed the boat on Georgia?
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
fair.
Okay.
Definitely fair. I think Georgia definitely blew away expectations. I'll continue to say that until I see otherwise. But I think Tennessee's a great call, and I was on Arkansas as well. I didn't think they were going to be 3-0 maybe. They had a couple of tough games on their schedule, so going into a season, it's always tough to hey, we're going to miss and we're going to hit. I mean, it's just going to happen. So, but yeah, Georgia did not expect that with the amount of turnover they had. The improved play from Stetson Bennett, who has thrown himself into the New York conversation. I was actually looking into that today to maybe take a stab at him. I just fear that he's just not going to have enough compared to CJ and Caleb. But I mean, that's something that can be changed in the next couple of weeks. I know they play a bunch of shit teams. I mean, but I don't know. The non-conference schedule thing is crazy to me. I know that's a topic that has been being discussed with certain teams right now. I think Michigan is probably at the centerfold of that. Just scheduled a bunch of shitters Several teams have done that. And you ask yourself, especially when, is it 2025 or 2026 when the 12 team goes into effect?
5. It should be 5. I've been wrong before. Ask my girlfriend. But it should be
5. So why schedule good non-conference games at that point? I mean,
I know why.
It's a money deal. It's a money and it's a TV deal.
I wasn't going to say that.
It's a money and a TV deal. But at this point, when you have 12 teams now, you imagine 4 SEC teams make it out of 12, right? Maybe 3. Okay, 3.
Easy. 4 with
4. Yeah,
4 would be like the bridge that they want to get to every year. But you will absolutely get 3 for sure.
But the benefit, everyone shits on the SEC, right? Everyone hates the SEC. They get favoritism, but it's for a reason. A lot of these SEC teams are playing big games in week 1 and week 2. Bama played Texas. LSU played Florida State. Georgia played Oregon. What's Michigan done? Michigan hadn't played shit. And maybe I've been wrong. Maybe they've played some tough games in the last couple of years, but I'm just pointing to this season.
They finally went over the hump and won the Big Ten last year. But I don't know, man. Like I get what you mean. But when you're betting, like if you're some people that do this watch this. I'll put it this way: some people that watch this show and that watch college football also watch the Sunday game. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
They also watch the Sunday game. When 1 out of every 3 players that you see is from the SEC and sometimes from the same team, every single time you see somebody score, like it creates not a bias, but it creates a commonality. Like there's a common place for this kind of thing, and announcers know it. It's not to say that other conferences aren't good, but when you look at talent per athlete put into the next level of this, like it is mostly coming from the SEC. But I mean, the biggest name right now is old boy Amon-Ra St. Brown. He came from USC. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a one-off. And by the way, sick name. By the way, hats off to his parents. But anyway, I get what you mean. I know what you mean. But if it's 12, SEC has to have, in their mind, they have to have at least 3. I would think
at least 3, probably 4.
If they don't, then they're not recruiting well, and then it's a hat tip to the Big 10 and the Big 12.
Yeah.
What the Big 12 is.
But I mean, Texas and Oklahoma are coming soon.
Did you see what Gundy said?
No.
Oh my God! And by the way, full disclosure, we are all aboard the Mike Gundy train. Like, I love the mullet, bro. You can't be a ninny and stomp your feet and clap your hands and spit on the ground because you're upset about Oklahoma going to the SEC. He's pissed that they aren't playing the game anymore. Like the Bedlam rivalry's gonna die.
I see.
And they could absolutely play that game, but they're not going to because they're trying to prove a point, and they're in a one-off right now. But anyway, we're off topic. But saying
Oklahoma State, they should be happy. I mean, they're going to be the powerhouse in the Big 12 now. I don't know why they're complaining at all. I mean, that's probably a free ride into the top 12 once that eventually goes into effect. I don't know. Gundy's always been outlandish as far as speaking his mind and getting his opinion out there. So whatever. I have a few plays this week that I like. Okay. I'm gonna start with the LSU game, just to get it out the way. The total is at 45.5, and I'm very confused about this. New Mexico is better than Southern. I'm not debating that. I don't think anyone will. But 45.5, LSU, they have their struggles on offense. Sure, you can make some arguments. They can easily put up 45 by themselves if they wanted to. I just don't think in a game where it's this big of a mismatch, the number should be this low. I just don't see LSU struggling on offense. Obviously, New Mexico maybe has a better defense than some of these shit teams that LSU plays or these SEC teams play. I could just be completely off here. But 45.5, and the kicker to this is that Nussmeier will eventually come in if the game's out of hand, and he's going to throw. Like, they're still trying to give Nuss a chance and to get him into the flow of things for the season, just to maybe see what their options are in the event that Jaden goes down. So, and that's what they did with Southern. Nussmeier came in and he threw, I think, 12 to 13 passes. So in the event it is a blowout and maybe we're at the 37, 38 nothing category, and they put him in with a quarter left, I can easily see them throwing and putting up 10 points. So over 45.5 all day, man.
Okay.
I'm hammering that. I just think Vegas knows their shit better than we do, but
that's a good play.
I don't know. Over 45.5.
If you'd have asked me what it was, and to be completely frank with you, I have not looked into the LSU game. Because I said it last week, I'm so off put by the amount of, for them, good changes. They're looking a lot better. And if they would have played Southern week 1, I think they're absolutely still undefeated.
Yeah. 100%.
But the way we capitalized a lot of bets off of them on week 1 was an emotional tilt to our belief in the Brian Kelly thing. And I honestly have fallen, victim to the same thing with Billy Napier, which I'm going to get into if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think you'll be hard pressed to find a bigger Billy Napier fan than I am. And again, it's not because I think that he's the next coming of God. I think it's because he says the right things and knows what it takes to make a person be a better version of themselves, and that's what you want in a coach. So I think from that standpoint, I like him that way, but he also knows how to build a staff. As you can see, it's like 38,000 people deep. However, we can't excuse how bad Anthony Richardson looks right now. But here's, don't get ahead of me. But I think a good quarterback with elite level talent and elite level athleticism can show up whenever he wants to. So I'm very hesitant to want to take this humongous Tennessee money line. I mean, the Tennessee spread. But Tennessee's pissed, okay? Tennessee has been getting pushed in by Florida for a really, really long time. I told myself and promised myself that I was not going to react negatively and pick things based on spreads. So I'm not going to. I'm going to take the Tennessee money line, and I'm also going to parlay it with one other thing. I'm not going to go crazy on the parlays this week. I'm going to give you another play.
Okay.
The University of Kansas deserves an apology from me. Because they have done nothing but turn everything around. They're going to be a team. There's going to be articles written about them next year. So hats off to them. And they're probably about to lose their coach to Nebraska, which I don't think is the best job that could be available for him by the end of the year. No. But they're probably about to lose him. But Kansas right now is predicted by 7. Y'all know the thing. Kansas lost over 40 games when they went on the road. Well, Kansas has covered their last 6. So you can do one of two things, people, on Coach Trey's plays. One of two things. You could buy it down to 6.5 and take it at minus 135. Minus 135 is not a lot of juice. It's minus 7 right now on DK and FanDuel. You could buy it down to 6.5 and play it at 135, or you can take the money line and Tennessee money line and get it down to minus 135.
Not bad.
So
I like your point on the Tennessee Florida thing. I didn't even look in that, and I was pulling that up, and they lost to Florida last year in the Swamp, 38-14. So that's even a better point.
Yeah.
I agree with the money line. I'm always for money lines, and I hate spreads if you're trying to win by a certain amount instead of getting points. So it's tough. So the money line there, and to allude on to your point with Duke and Kansas, I like the over in that game. That's one of my plays as well. Kansas's 3 games this year have been shootouts, like classic Big 12 shootouts, no defense. Duke, same way, same as Kansas. I think they've probably already hit their total as well. If I'm being frank, I think their total was either 2 or 3.5. So they've looked really good so far. Their offense, I think both of these offenses are just. I kind of want to watch this game. I haven't watched either of them play.
I know.
It's just their basketball. It's a classic basketball matchup, but I really might wake up at 11 and watch this game.
Their quarterback, and it'll be easy for LSU fans or for the SEC fans to remember. Everybody's obviously hearing about Jaden Daniels. Their quarterback is Jalen Daniels. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not Mel Kiper. I'm not a scout, but we've watched a pretty good amount of college football. That dude's a bucket.
Yeah.
That dude's a bucket.
Yeah. I'm for both of these schools. Like I said, I'm probably gonna wake up at 11 and turn that game on. Just pray and get like 17 to 18 points a quarter, hopefully. Anyways, so yeah, I like that play. I like where we're going so far with all this. I've got a teaser, and I haven't won a teaser yet. And these are a lot of points.
Okay.
I've teased down. It's a 10-point teaser. I've teased Georgia down to 34.5. They're playing. I want to say they're playing Kent State. They were originally 44.5. I don't like that number, but I love 34.5. So tease them down there. I've teased Mississippi State down to 20.5. They're playing a shit team. They're coming off a loss. They're going to want to. Will Rogers was just locked up last week, especially in the second half. I think they're going to put up a huge number against the team they're playing.
Yeah, they're pissed.
They're pissed. And then I've included the LSU total, 35.5. Tease it down there. Plus 100.
35.5 or 34.5?
35.5. So I've teased that down. Those three, Georgia minus 34.5, Mississippi State minus 20.5, and the total for the LSU game at 35.5 over is plus 100. Okay. Plus 100. Not bad. Okay. So I think Georgia and Mississippi State both dog walk their teams. I just like getting an extra 10 points each there. And I already love the 45.5, so I threw in the 35.5 too. If I get burned on that game and it's a 21-0 game, I'm going to be pissed. It's going to be a boring game to watch, and I'm not going to be happy with that.
So first of all, I like that. And again, y'all, it is so incredibly difficult sometimes to come up with what we call confidence plays, depending on how we feel, because you sometimes have to forget that you have emotion towards a game. Like you get beat by a team, like, you bet that, Bo Nix will throw over 190 yards and he throws for 188, and yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to remove yourself from this and get in the headspace of statistical analysis. What is an outlier? What looks right? What doesn't look right? So for that, I do like that. I like my little play here. I did this last week and I mentioned it and I didn't play it. I chose a different game to play and ended up losing. So last week I gave you one that I went into the lab for, and I strayed away from it, frankly, because I didn't have. I didn't think that it was in my best interest to try to just let it ride on Tulane. Mm-hmm. That was my mistake.
I eat crow in that, dude. I made fun of you.
Oh yeah. I went into the lab on Tulane and they went outright. So instead of that, I went with the UTSA play, which Texas was down players. UTSA was down players. UTSA had all the reasons to want to do it. Texas just came off the emotional loss. That's an emotional decision. Like that's an emotion. That's me playing, 18, 19-year-olds emotions. I'm out on that. I'm back in the lab. Yeah. So if you want to know if I'm going to play this, you will have to give us $1, but you'll have to subscribe to the Patreon.
Give us $1. Come on.
Figure out if I put this in my plays or not. But listen to this one, bro. I went into the lab on this. I'm going to say it. You're going to balk, but just listen.
All right.
I have found an anomaly, and it is Wazoo plus the 7. Check this out.
Okay.
Check this out. First of all, if I asked you right now where Wazoo plays, would you know where it was?
Like the city?
Like where is it at? Yes.
I've been to Missouri once, and it smelled like shit there, so I don't know. Kansas City?
No.
That's Oklahoma. Never mind. I'm dumb.
It's in Pullman, Washington. Shout out I've got some relatives that live in Spokane, and they are huge Wazoo fans, huge Gonzaga fans. Not why I'm making this pick.
I thought we were talking about Missouri. My bad.
No. You're way off. You're way off.
I'm way off.
You're tripping. You're tripping.
Yeah, tripping.
Wazoo plus the 7. I'm
Okay.
not going to tell you if I'm going to play this or not because there's a couple of things that I want to look at. But just let me break this down for you.
They're playing Oregon, right?
They are playing Oregon.
Okay,
First of all, it's a weird flight. Unless you're flying private, you don't. And I don't know if this is true, so please somebody fact check me. But from what I understand, that unless you're flying private, which most of the time these big universities do, you have to, because of where it's at, you have to basically fly, land, and then drive to the stadium. And it's just apparently a weirdly located – I've never been there, full disclosure, but it's a weirdly located stadium, okay? And so because I heard that, I said, let me just dig up some stats on the game. So check this out. So this is obviously taken into account when Bo Nix was playing for Auburn, but Bo Nix's touchdown to interception ratio was 25-4 when he played at home. 25 touchdowns and 4 interceptions at home. On the road, it was 13-12. They're on the road in a weird location. Since 2017, when getting 7 points or more, Wazoo is 5-0 against the spread. Will they be 6-0? Fill into the Patreon to see. I've also got another one in there that I'm not going to say it, but I'm
Wazoo. Okay. Yeah. We don't really know about Oregon, right? I was on Oregon.
No, we don't know anything about them. Great win last week, though.
Yeah, I had them last week, and that wasn't a confidence pick in them. That was a strategic pick backing Vegas, and I can get into that theory in a little bit. But
sure.
But yeah, we don't really know what Oregon is. I mean, they got their shit rocked by Georgia. We think Georgia's the best team in the country. So maybe that's an outlier. They looked good last week, but is the team they played not good? They played BYU, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
So is BYU good? You know, we have all these questions still to answer about them. So I'm okay with that. And you got your little fact about the I see the chat there. My God. Anyways, college football podcast. I actually have Bo Nix anytime touchdown on here, plus 145. So it's funny that you say that. So let's pull for each other there. Get the Bo Nix anytime touchdown and get your cover, and we both win there.
And again, it is a very, very likely scenario in which you get into week 5 and you know a whole lot more than you do going into week 4. But you have to use, obviously hindsight's 20/20, man. But I don't know. I don't know if you're even going to talk about this game. It's another game in the SEC, and it involves a game in Jerry World. Are you going to talk about it?
Texas A&M and Arkansas. I don't have a single play on it.
Okay. Okay.
Solely because I have the total for Arkansas. I'll probably eventually make the play for the money line for Arkansas.
Okay.
I think Texas A&M. We know a lot about Max Johnson. He is not that guy. If he is the guy that you're using to replace the guy that you thought was the guy, then I don't have any faith in your decision making. I don't have any faith in your team. Sure, they beat Miami last week. They're like the 3rd best ACC team, so congrats. And like it was a struggle fest. I mean, like, it wasn't like they beat the shit out of them. I mean, they really kind of struggled throughout the game to score. Right. Their defense is the one that kept them in it. So I like Arkansas. I have not made a play on it, but I will. More than likely taking either the money line or probably finding an alt spread to maybe get like a touchdown just to be safe.
Okay.
But I have all the confidence in the world to think that they can beat Texas A&M by a touchdown. I am just not high on Texas A&M. So I don't know where you stand on that. I would assume you're the same way with your with knowing Max Johnson and how he plays. But I mean, maybe you're going the other way. I don't know.
Well, I'll put it this way. This play is going to be on my Patreon account. It is going to be on the Patreon, guys. And let me just go ahead and tell you now, It ain't the money line.
Ooh.
Just know this is another one, and I hope to God that something stupid doesn't happen because I went into the lab for this one too. I'm not going to say it. I have it written down, and listen to this, chat. That's a star next to it because I cannot wait for this one. However, I will say Max Johnson is not that guy. He is a really, really solid athlete. He is not put in a position right now to succeed. That passing offense looks atrocious. But the one thing about Arkansas, despite the fact that I love Coach Sam Pittman and he could be my adoptive father if he wanted to be, I love him that much. They have when I say worst, the statistical and physical worst by a lot passing defense in the nation. The worst. They do. If there's ever a game that Max Johnson can start throwing tuds across the place, it might be this one. However, the one thing that they do have is DJ Nudie. Shout out to Dwight McGlover because that dude's a bucket. Another thing that I want to say, and I'm gonna almost like drop my mic on this one because I refuse to let another episode go by without us acknowledging this. I don't know what Kentucky has to do to deserve respect from people. I don't know what they have to do. But the way they beat Florida a couple weeks ago was
handily.
It was, bro.
It was an ass whooping.
When they talked about the injuries at running back, I have a shout out to my buddy Kevin. Like he's one of my really, really good friends. That's a UK grad. Much more basketball fan than he is a football fan, but he does like the Cats. Yeah. Shout out to my dog Kev. We have an ongoing bet that if Kentucky wins the East, that something has to happen. But all I know is I don't know what else they can do to deserve respect.
Okay.
I think that Stoops is up there doing the Lord's work, bro. There's literally no reason why people should continue to sleep on them. And if they put up even close to, I'm talking about like if they play Georgia well for 3 quarters, it would blow me out of my chair. Like
they have the defense to do it. I mean,
they are so sound on the little things. And I know that might not come off to some people because I know how people watch football games. They usually just ball watch. Dude, when you watch the way that they communicate on defense at times, and it's not all the time. I just wish they were more consistent. But at times, bro, the way they can get stuff in that last minute from the sidelines is like, holy hell, bro. And again, I know Anthony Richardson is not playing like Tim Tebow of old. But when you start doing like Heisman commercials with Tebow and whatnot, you have to tote the rock and do a little bit better than that. But it wasn't all him sucking that game, dude. It was Kentucky actually coming and showing up and saying, F you, Napier. You're new here. I've done this before. Hold my beer. And I don't know what kind of beer is good in Kentucky. Somebody tell me. I know bourbon's big there. But anyway, I just had to shout them out, dude, because I'm so sick and tired of every single time Kentucky goes on the road or gets a home game or whatever the case may be, the spread's always odd. You're like, why is Kentucky a 5.5-point dog on the road to Tennessee? Like, what did they – now this year that might stand chance because Tennessee looks like they can score 90 on anybody. But I like refused to let us get off this episode without me acknowledging what Kentucky has been doing.
And I was kind of bullish on Kentucky going into the season.
You were.
I did fear the running back issues, but obviously that's been answered. So yeah, I give my respect to them. I think they're a great team, and I think they'll give Tennessee and Georgia some competition, maybe more of Tennessee.
I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, so while you have your team that needs respect, I'm going to drop the mic and we'll end on this note. USC, I think
there it is. Here it is.
I think they deserve their respect. I think Lincoln Riley, right when he made his move, there was a lot of shit happening. Did not get he got a lot of criticism for it. He has turned that team. They have not missed a step. There has been no rust. It's like they've been there.
Man.
It's like the old school USC.
It is. It's Oklahoma.
Yeah. It's basically he brought. It's crazy. So it just shows how good of a coach he is.
Mm-hmm.
He was well pursued for the LSU job. Almost had him. That was obviously I think everyone's first choice, right? So. He's just a quarterback fiend, man, and I'm sure after Caleb Williams, they're going to find someone else, and he's going to develop them. Wait, he's got 3 Heismans. He's got Kyler, Baker, and Jalen.
He is gonna have somebody else. Bro.
I mean, he might be in the NFL. Why would you? Why would you go to the NFL? His niche is college quarterbacks, developing them and winning a lot of games. So respect to them. I don't like spreads, but -5.5. Me and Trey were talking about that earlier. I think we're on the same page with that. Why is the number so low? I understand it's a road game. Oregon State does not hold shit to USC. Both
solid team.
Both sides of the ball, it's not close. So I have the money line just because it's kind of bettable still, like -220 right now. That's hammerable. I think, and I've put some money on this already. +250 to make the playoffs. They've got one game, and that's Utah in a couple weeks. That is really their only tough game. I don't believe they play Oregon. I'll have to go double check that. I think Utah is literally their only tough game. So if they get past that, and even maybe you can argue one loss. I doubt it, but I think they beat Utah. If they played this weekend, I think USC would be. Oh, it's tough because they're a 5.5 point favorite to Oregon State. So yeah, I don't know.
They would probably be at home a field goal.
Yeah, I would hammer that. I think.
And they don't play Oregon.
We thought Florida was going to be a really good team after the Utah victory they had.
Oh.
But then now we're seeing some true colors. So that Florida loss is a little bit worse now than when it was at the beginning of the season. So I think USC, man, they've got – it's crazy. They just formed their own super team with the coach. They brought in the quarterback, a new running back from Oregon, Dye. He's a savage. And Addison, and they already have a guy, I believe his name is Mario Williams, a solid number 2 as well. I am on that team to make the playoffs. +250 is disrespectful. With one tough game on their schedule, you're telling me that team is +250? That team should be -250 to make the playoffs. They're in a weaker conference. The Pac-12 gets a lot of shit, sure. But if you go undefeated and win the Pac-12, you're going to the playoffs, right? I mean, there's no argument.
Oh yeah. So. Especially if Lincoln Riley's on the team, dude. You know how much they love him.
Caleb Williams, also shout out to him. Maybe high. He's 1-2 right now with CJ Stroud. I just think CJ Stroud, for something about Ohio State and receivers, man, he just gets. We thought they were going to be shit or a little bit more. I know Jackson Smith and Jigba was the 3 last year, but he outperformed Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave a lot. But now they've got Marvin Harrison Jr. He's got 6 touchdowns through the first 3 games. CJ Stroud just has stud receivers. So if I had to bet Heisman right now, it would be CJ. I just think they have a lot more tougher games compared to Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So I think strength of schedule and probably statistically will be better. And he's +200, so good odds there. I'm gonna hammer the USC +250 to make the playoffs, and then I'll probably throw some parlays together with the CJ Stroud. But that's my pick so far for that. But yeah, respect to USC, man.
Respect to USC. The last thing I'll say, man, and I know this is obviously a little bit different of a note, but sometimes we get so involved in sports, man. Your team doesn't do well, you call kids out on Twitter, you say what you're going to say. There's the one thing that I'll say is that football is, at the end of the day, college football is obviously one of the most important things to us. Everybody likes to wake up and watch, and watch what we watch on every morning. I don't want to, say their name for titling and stuff, but everybody likes to watch it. Everybody loves it. However, some things are just bigger than football. So shout out to Kayshon Boutte, man. He's going to be excused from the game this weekend to go see the birth of his first child. And so I think that, for a kid that's in his money year, for a kid that's about to have his life change in a couple of different ways, nobody, unless you were close to the situation, knew anything about that. So shout out to him, man. And I hope that everything goes well. And, maybe just something, just a little bit different. Not everything needs to be involved around sports. Like some things in life are precious. So shout out to him, man. Let's hope for the best. And as far as the plays are concerned, I have some player props that are going to be up, guys. I've been actually doing pretty okay.
The player props have been the saving grace right now, honestly.
Right. I mean, I was hot out of the gun for week 1 and 2, and then the last couple weeks I've been tripping a little bit. But anyway, man, we're gonna be back on it, bro. Patreon, log in there, see what we got. But get them right.
Show us some love, baby. Give us a subscribe on YouTube, and we'll be back next week. See y'all.